Alright, I'll make my ranger and then we'll just do things. That's how it is. Okay. So I'm assuming these are like dex stam agi. What could go wrong? I really wish I knew what these stats did. It's like almost setting yourself to a point where eventually you're going to have to re-roll your first couple characters when the game comes out. Not necessarily a bad thing. There's nothing about Discovery that has hurt a game. It just might draw people off in the very initial couple seconds. And the first couple times I played this game, to put it into perspective, it took me a second to get into it, but when I got into it, I was really hooked into it. And I think that's just how it's going to go. People have got to get past the monotony, because we're in a kind of gaming realm right now where everything's sort of handed to you, so got to get away from that. I don't know if I'm going to pick anything else other than Infravision on any character I ever make. It's especially bad for me because I have a OLED monitor, and it's very dark blacks, so I want to play in some Night Harbor too, but I feel obligated as Wood Elf to play up here. But we'll do the Night Harbor, it'll be fine. Alright, so here's my first point why I think this game's going to be absolutely way bigger than anyone thinks it is. And I'll start with this one because it's obvious, but God, I'm gonna lose myself in here. But basically, the dev cycle of this game is unlike anything, I think, to this date. I don't think any other industry game has been so transparent with the development cycle, their plans, their ideas, and they, as a viewer, when you're watching these videos, you genuinely feel like you're part of making the game. I'm getting a little bit of lag here. We'll have to see that. Thanks for the follow, Cardamon. But yeah, so another thing with the devs, they haven't taken any of our money, which is insane. So explain this to me. You have this world here. Yes, it's kind of low poly, but like the textures are insanely nice. Like the artists are absolutely amazing on this game. Tell me how Ashes of Creation's like 100 mil in, and then they bankrupt and steal all your money. And these guys are rocking 150K total budget, which they spent out of their own pockets, and we have almost a finished product, like going into early access soon this summer. Indie games this year are just winning at everything, so that's something. But it's not just necessarily that they're super transparent or they show you everything or that they're not stealing any of your money, but the game's not even going to have a box price. It's just a subscription, which is your guarantee that the content is going to continue coming out. Now, another thing with this model is there's not going to be a cash shop. No cash shop, to me, is more telling than you initially think. A lot of people justify free games by saying, oh, it's free, that's why there's a cash shop. But inherently, if there's a cash shop, if there's mounts, or if there's cosmetic costumes on a cash shop, those are costumes and mounts that are not being put into the game. And then you'll always have this divide saying, what should we put in the market, and it'll just get more greedy. It's like this tumble thing. So I think that there's there isn't going to be a cash shop at all. I think that's just significant news for the game's longevity. So we're paying a subscription and we're getting all the content that we get to earn by playing the game instead of buying it. This yeah, can't speak enough about that. It's insane. Just reading about it just gets me excited because they're the only people doing it. For instance, if there's an MMO that's announced and everyone's really excited about it, and they say, well, it's a free game, but it's going to have a cash shop, or it's, you pay this price, and then there might be optional items in the game to buy with real money, I instantly know that game's not going to make it. It's just not. People are gonna, they're gonna take their money, they're gonna get played for a couple months, and then they'll move on with their lives. But no cash shop is the move. I'm entirely fine paying a subscription. In fact, I'd even be fine paying a box price and a subscription, but that's just me. However they want to do it, because they have been working for 5 years on this game and not asking for a cent. Most of them don't even take donations. I'm subbed to a couple of the devs, but that's about it. I mainly watch like Goblin and Zukin and ZBrush. I like watching the art a lot. Yeah, definitely. I think they should add some sort of like collector's tin or something like that as an option to buy just to have. I know the game's like a digital download, but I think that would be the move for me. And I'm just rambling because I'm making a video and I don't know where to find this guy, but I'll figure that out eventually. My next point is this game fosters community. It's the main thing. You have to talk to people. Your reputation on the server matters. If you're playing in dungeons and you're stealing loot or you're leaving or just jumping out, like that matters. Those are people that aren't going to want to play with you later on. If you scam somebody, that you're going to get a reputation on the server and no one's going to want to play with you, and that's detrimental in a game like this because it's not just, oh, I can go in a group finder, I'll have 5 more people in 10 minutes, so I don't need to worry about you. You have to be nice to people. For those of you that did play World of Warcraft before Wrath of the Lich King, I believe the patch was 3.3.5 when they introduced the dungeon finder. Is it you notice that's a turning point. It was the beginning of the end right there. And in the same patch, actually, they introduced a cash shop, which is just wild to me. But then you have, if you remember back then, you'd be looking in trade chat for groups. You'd make friends with people. You'd add them. You'd be excited to play with them. And then right when that happened, it turned into this thing where it slowly just became a more single-player experience, even though WoW was intended to be this sort of group dynamic. And then you got more greedy with, oh, I want my loot. Where's my things? Where's my lunch? Because it's just, the people aspect gets more and more foreign as that kind of concept goes on. So it's something that I don't think a lot of people talk about, but like that alone is exciting to me in this game. You have to ask people questions. You see people asking for directions. You see people trying to group up. I'd be interested to see how some of the lesser, I guess, meta classes will tune out as far as groups are concerned. But I think each server is going to be a little different with their communities and how they handle things, which will be exciting as well. And even in WoW, they used to have battle groups, kind of, and it would be a group of servers that would play together. You'd queue into them, you'd play with them. And those were your people. So, back then, if you'd go to another server that you weren't used to, groups were handled differently and loot was handled differently and all these things. And it was the dynamic changes. So that's pretty cool. So, yeah, that's point number 2 that I'm making. I genuinely think that you having to not have your hand held actually really helps the game, and it will help the community as well. So the people that you fight with and you die with and you lose experience with, you're going to have a bond to them. I bet you if you played an old school MMO like WoW back in the day or something like that, you remember your first gray shoulders at level 16 or something like that. You remember that very fondly and you're excited and every piece of gear mattered. But now we're kind of in this meta where it's just like next, so many things on your screen, all these numbers flying around, and by the end of it, you're max level in like 2.5 hours, and none of the gear was relevant at all. Knuckles said, played WoW in TBC. I remember going to the midnight release for the expansion. I knew times were changing because all the people were waiting in line. I remember when I played EQ, it wasn't even mainstream. Early WoW changed all that. Yeah, definitely. TBC was great. I mostly did PvP in WoW. I just did arena basically. That was my thing. I liked the competitive aspect of it, and it kept me interested for a lot longer. I tried the midnight release. Excuse me. But things weren't dying. Like I was playing a survival hunter, and you could just sit there and wail on someone for like 30 seconds, no one was dying. But what really changed it for me, and I'll make this my third point. Why not? Class identity. Class identity is dead in WoW. Class identity is dead in most games that are MMOs that are out right now. Everything's homogenized. Everything has a kick. Everything has a range stun. Everything has a 8-second CC. Like they all feel like the same class with a different flavor. Do you remember Class Quest? You remember WoW poisons like on rogue weapons and the things that made the game fun. Shamans with their awesome Wind Fury proc. All these things that were just like iconic. Like you needed one of those in the group. Everyone brought something new to the table. And in the current aspect, and I'm sorry to keep comparing it to WoW, so all I have, um, you know, everything can do everything, and then in a sense, it just feels like nothing. You can stare at 20 characters on your login screen, you don't know what to play ever. But I think class identity is another really, really big one that maybe isn't talked about enough, but class identity is huge. You should be distinct, you know. You should bring specific things to the party that make you desirable, and I think that would really really help that. Let's figure out where I'm going. I guess the next talking point would be getting engrossed in the world. You get lost in it, but it's almost like when you first start playing a game, and this is also comparable to single player games. When you first start a game and you're still figuring it out, there's like a solid hour or two where you're in like this unique discovery phase and everything's amazing. I feel like that lasts a lot longer on this game because you have so many different zones that they're massive, and you just get to discover it and learn it. And you have to familiarize yourself. Like my hand keeps going to the M button to look at map, and it's like I've been trained. Each quest is like a whole ass thing. But I guess you get better at it as you go, I'd assume. There we go. Yeah, it really is. It's it probably creates a lot of depth and attachment to your characters. He says, "What is this?" Combat here. I'm gonna do interactions here. Voss has another aspiring ranger on his hands. I wonder how long. Fully with sand. Rangers trained by the Steel Talons are the finest in the land, so you have to become the next corpse. Take your note to Mr. Dunestrider. Skilled Ranger needs no direction, so you'll find him in one of the towers along the wall. Oh man.